want to do is how to sell, because we all have to sell. We have to sell ourselves, sell our ideas, sell our children. Well, that doesn't sound well. We have to sell our children into the idea of becoming better, becoming more. It's just what we do. And I spent the last 20 years trying to simplify the puzzle of sales. People have this fear of rejection and criticism. It's actually easier than you think. I want to give you a formula today to make it simple, because as you study with the Success and Money Foundation, you learned it's important to have that side hustle. Most millionaires come from creating a business, and the number one reason businesses fail, lack of sales. You could have the best product, the best service, the best heart, want to serve people, but if you can't convince people to say yes, to give you money to do business with you, it's not going to work out. And it just breaks my heart over the years. Entrepreneurs are so excited. They're the best at what they do, but they just can't convince people. In fact, I was working with someone. She decided to do a side hustle. She was in Florida, one of the best photographers there, but just wasn't making it until she learned how to sell people, convince people. And a lot of times entrepreneurs have a problem with saying, yes, let's do business. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. So I want to give you some simple ways to work through that and understand how that works. And we're going to work through it step by step by step. So I've been training salespeople, persuaders for a long time. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is just like financial principles, they don't teach these skills in school. People skills, persuasion, leadership, sales skills. Most CEOs of large companies, again, have that sales and marketing background. You have to learn it somewhere. We're all selling something. We all label it differently. Some people say negotiation, persuasion, influence. So let's talk about a few of these things that make a huge difference. And a lot has changed in the world of sales. Here's an interesting one many of you will be happy about. Introverts now tend to sell more than extroverts. We're like, what? Yeah, extroverts are kind of pushy. And the moment somebody senses that you're going to try to sell them something, they're going to resist you. And the goal here is to help them sell themselves. That's what introverts do. They listen, they ask more questions. They're not as pushy. And so it's a different world now that we can adapt to learn to get more people to say yes. Let's do business. Let's work through it. Whether you're using the Success and Money affiliate program or you're selling a product, building a business, this is a valuable life skill. One I wish I would have learned in school because this makes the biggest difference when you're able to do that. And so as we do this and work through this, I want to talk about one of the big blunders that people tend to have. Let me stop the share here. Is their default setting as a human, this is true around the world, is that we all tend to sell others how we like to be sold. And that's not how it works. We have to learn to adapt to people. People are different. Adapt to their age, to their beliefs, to their personality. And I want you to think about that as you talk to people and work through the different aspects of the sales process. So I'm going to give you the formula, take some great notes. We'll take it up here in chat, work through it. But this is a skill, doesn't matter what you do, we all need to talk to people, right? So let's go through some of these things and work through it and understand how it works. But the biggest one that we have the biggest challenge with is this one right here. Get it up. Is the mindset. How you think about talking to people, selling people. And here's the biggest one is I believe, and this is strong for many of you, that you have a moral and ethical obligation to sell people. You're like, what? I know that's strong, but think about this. They have to do business with somebody, and someone's going to take their money. And it might as well be you, because you have a bigger heart. You're going to serve them better. You're going to provide a better product or service than somebody else. So if you don't persuade them, if you don't sell them, someone else will. That's not going to take care of them. That's not going to love them. That's not going to provide a solution to their problem. And so if you can have that mindset, like, no, I need to do this, then it changes the game a little bit. And for some reason, just that mindset, they tend to work on last. And another thing that a lot of entrepreneurs do is they just don't charge enough. They don't think their services are worth X amount of dollars or pesos or whatever it is. And so you have to value yourself and value your business and talk to people that way. It's a lot of times you have to decide what you want to charge somebody, take a deep breath and add a zero to it sometimes, because sometimes we just don't charge enough. So working on these skills, that mindset, that excitement to talk to people, because this is just a game, just like Tom talks about. It's, you know, some will, some won't, so what? But you have to open your mouth. We have to talk to people. And you should decide now how many people a day you're going to talk to. You're going to email. How many posts on social media you're going to make, and do that every day and keep track of the amount of yeses that you get. So I want to go through a few things here. That first one, of course, is the attitude. That it's not personal. Attitude comes from expectations, just so you know. So if you expect people to say no, they probably will. If you expect them to say yes, they probably will. It's an expectation. It's not personal when someone says no. They're not rejecting you as a person. Just have the right attitude. This is a game. This is fun. This is how you build your business. Don't take it personally. That's a huge piece when we talk about working with people, and that attitude that you have, that this is game, this is fun. It's not a personal thing when they say no. They're not rejecting you as a person. They're just saying no to what you're offering. And that attitude's a very important thing to work through when you start talking to people. There will be some no's. And that's why I've always loved, we just mentioned some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? We just talk to people. We work through the different aspects of the game. Having that right attitude is key. The second piece of mindset is this right here. I call it T, just like the drink. We put this here in the chat. This is what it stands for, is thoughts control your emotions and emotions control your actions. Meaning, when you have the right attitude, the right thoughts, it's easier. The studies are clear. When you feel influential, you are more influential. And so it comes across, when you have the right thoughts, that you come across in a better way. Some people are like, you wouldn't be interested, would you? And they're shaking their head, no. Like, do you see the power of that? Just your body language. So think about that. Your thoughts, which tend to be mostly negative, trigger your emotions, which control your actions. So if you're speaking to somebody and thinking, oh, they're going to say no, they're not going to do it, that triggers negative emotions, which comes across in your actions. So overcome the fear. You know, face it. Some will say no. And remember, we've talked about this before, that you were only born with two fears. Every baby in the world has two fears: fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That's it. That's it. So the fear of criticism, of no, of rejection, you've learned that, so you can unlearn it and be brave, be bold, and talk to people, because they need their problem solved, and you can be the person that does it. And third one here, final one, is using your verbal business card. And this is what I mean by this. Let me get it up here. There we go. Nope, not yet. Now, verbal business card is part of the mindset. You got to be excited about this. This is what it means. Is that it's like an elevator pitch, if you've heard that before. In a couple seconds, you got to get people excited to talk to you. So when someone says, hey, what do you do for a living? You don't say, I'm in real estate. You would say something like, have you ever seen that dream home and didn't think you could afford it? I make that dream a reality. What do you do for a living? Well, I'm a sales trainer. No. He says, have you ever had someone that needed and wanted and liked your product, but they said no? I make sure that never happens again. And so you want people to say, how do you do that? I help people become financially independent. You could say that. People say, how do you do that? So I want you to think about what you could say to people in 10, 15 seconds where they can say, tell me more. How do you do that? That's a verbal business card. That's an elevator pitch. That's part of the mindset of working through it and being excited when you tell people. Now, not everyone's going to ask you, how do you do that? But what can you say to get people to ask you? How do you do that? How do you create millionaires? How do you get me into my dream home? How do you help me become financially independent? That is the key. And part of this mindset too is that everybody you meet can do business with you, know someone that can. It's just a matter of opening your mouth. That is the key factor here. So I want to spend all the time. We can spend all day on mindset. This is the most important thing. But when you are courageous and you're excited and you're changing lives and you want to get people to do business with you, because you really can sell anything to anyone if you do it the right way. So let me give you just a basic formula that you can use as you start talking to people, as you start to open your mouth and get people to do business with you. And then as you build your business, you'll get other people to open their mouth for you, to tell other people about you, to be able to do that. It's easier than you think. And again, most of it's just having the courage to talk to people as we work through the difference. So let's talk about just some basic structure, basics that we can work through on how to sell anybody. Remember, we're all in sales. You got to sell your ideas, your thoughts, people. This is something we all have to do. So let me talk about the first one here. So the first one is you've got to create interest. You've got to create interest and get people excited. That's up to you. You have what, 20, 30 seconds to get people to tell me more, get them excited. It's very important that you understand how to do this. We've talked about this before. Let me put it here in the chat. A simple one, you've heard this one before. What's in it for them? Why should they care? How can you arouse curiosity? That's an important piece of the sales process. You got to grab their attention. They got to listen. Attention spans are an all-time low. They are. And so you've got to, within 20, 30 seconds, get them to say, how do you do that? Tell me more. What can you say in that first couple of seconds to grab their attention? Because the world, right? There's so many things happening. Some studies show that we're hit with 5,000 persuasive messages a day. You have to cut through that clutter, whether it's a subject line in an email, whether it's a picture, whether it's face-to-face. You've got to get through there and get them to start saying, being interested, and to say yes. That is what you're looking for. So what's in it for them? Not for you. Because one of the fun things that I get to do is I get to interview people after they've lied to you. Like, what? People lie? Yeah. Oh, it's too expensive. I needed more information. I need to talk to my partner. Most of the time, they're just trying to get rid of you. And so one of the complaints that you really got to watch at this phase when you start talking to people is that you just tend to, I'll use the word vomit on people. You data dump. You say too much. You're so excited about it that you talk about the 10 reasons they should do it, and that's not persuasive. That's not part of sales because it's overwhelming, it's confusing, it's too much. What are the one or two things that would excite them to get them to say, yes, I want to know more? Because when people say, how do you do that? Tell me more. They're now open to be persuaded, to be influenced. And that's your goal. You want them to be open to do that. And always start with the easiest yeses first. You want to structure in this part of your presentation, you want to structure it to where you get the easiest yeses first. Because getting 3 or 4 yeses is easier to persuade someone than one big yes. Like they did a study with psychology students and they went, hey, will you help us out? We're doing a study Saturday. It's like 7 a.m. Like 24% said yes. But when they said, hey, we're doing a study, will you help? Yeah. Saturday available? Yeah. 7 a.m. It doubled the amount of people that said yes, that came to help out. So asking 3 yeses is easier to persuade the brain than one big yes. So this is ways to think about if you're getting a lot of resistance, what you're asking is too big. Do you want to become financially independent? Yes. Right? It just keeps asking the yes questions, get them to say yes. And even just shaking your head up and down on the yes motion makes you more persuasive, more influential. Do you see the power of that? Do you see how that'll change your life? Moving your head makes it easier for people to say yes. In fact, when you get another person to shake their head up and down, psychologically, they're more persuasive. They've done studies on this where people were wearing headphones, testing them out for quality, and they were listening to rock music. And a third were doing this, and a third were doing this, and a third did nothing. And in the middle was a commercial to raise tuition at this university. The ones who were going like this were more persuaded. So your body language is all part of this, grabbing their interest. That is critical. So that's a big piece of the process. So that's the first one. That is definitely the first one. So let's go to that. So you grab their interest, 30 seconds, tell me more. I want to understand how to do this. Then we go to our second one. So we have create interest. We got to state the problem. Remember, you're problem solvers. You've got to solve a problem. Now, sometimes they don't know they have a problem. They don't know. So you either have to help them find that they have a problem, remind them have a problem, tell them they have a problem. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't, but there has to be an issue. There has to be some type of pain, some type of problem that you're solving. So you've grabbed their attention. They're interested. Yeah, you're going to retire when you're 72, or you're not going to be able to retire. So what is the problem? Their health? Is it their wealth? Is it the lack of time? Is it disobedient children? Is it whatever it is? You find it, you need to either find them or remind them. So you've got to get into that problem. And it's okay to have a little pain here. Well, if we don't fix it, what's going to happen? If we don't start working on your retirement and your investments, when do you think you can retire? Do you think you'll ever be able to retire? Great influencers and salespeople ask 3 times more questions. Define that pain, define the problem, then you state it. You can put a little salt in the wound, that's okay. And let them know that it's an issue. Because when you expose a problem that they have, or they admit it, a lot of times they say, yeah, the problem's like this. It's this small. You're like, no, it's big. Well, it's not that. No, it's a big deal. Your health, your wealth, whatever it is, this is where you state the problem. A little pain, like, yeah, if we don't fix this, what's going to happen? Ask them. So this is the point too, where you have to kind of look at their personality and see, all right, do they know they have a problem? A lot of people do. So you have to find it, expose it, maybe even remind them about whatever it is that you're trying to sell people to do. Build a little pain here, that's okay as people go through the different steps. So just to kind of work through it, we're grabbing their attention, 30 seconds, getting them interested, they want to know more, and then we expose the problem. It's okay to have a little pain here, because this is where you realize, yeah, and put a number on it if you can. We'll talk about that here in a bit, but what is that pain that they want to get away from, that you can solve? What is that big problem you can solve? Is it health? Is it wealth? You're saving them time. You fill in the blank. This is what you want to fix. This is why people pay. The bigger problem you can fix, as you know, the more people are willing to pay. And that's going to be part of that process as you work through it and understand it. So there's 5 steps here. And I think I don't know, either way up on a break here. I'm going to go back with part 2 on this too. So there's 5 steps I want to go through, but remember, most of it's the mindset. You are helping people, you're serving people, you're solving this problem. This is something that you can do, but be courageous, be bold, have the right attitude, the expectation people are going to say yes, that if you don't sell them, somebody else is going to take their money. And they're not going to serve them like you. They're not. Their hearts might not be in the right place. So someone's going to sell them. They have to get this problem solved. And if you feel that you're the best to be able to do that, then you really need to learn these skills and say, no, I'm going to help you out, and be courageous, be bold, talk to more people. That's the biggest thing here. Just talk to more people, be bold, be in the right mindset, get your thoughts more positive, and it make a big difference. You can sell anything to anyone. When you're really passionate and you really believe in what you do, that makes a big difference. To get on the roof of your house and shout out, yes, I'm in business. You should do business with me. I'm going to solve your problem. That is the key. Do that. So get yourself in the right mindset. We talked about creating interest, grabbing their attention, state the problem. We'll finish up the formula here when we get back to part 2, but we're up on a break. So get in the right state, become more persuasive, influential, and you'll be better in sales. That's how you sell anything to anyone.